Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. Brandon again, and today we're going to talk about some of the biggest supplement scams out there. Now for this, I thought to myself, what are the top 3 that come to my mind when I think of supplement scams? And that's exactly what I'm going to cover in this video. However, I understand that you might not agree with me, or you might even point out something that you think is more important, and that's completely fine. In fact, I think many of us can make the argument for almost any supplement out there that in some way, shape, or form, it is a waste of money and we shouldn't actually be buying or using it. Now, that being said, what I'd like you guys to do is go ahead and list your top 3 that come to mind right now in the comment section below. The reason I want to do that is I just think it'd be interesting to see what you guys see and see how our lists compare and contrast. Not to mention, I don't want to influence your choices. So go ahead and do that right now. Great. Now that you've done that, if you're a really fast typist, you'll know that my number 1 is going to be fat loss pills. And the reason I have a big issue with this is because generally it harps on those that are uninformed and it takes advantage of them, which I guess you could say is true of any scam really, taking advantage of people who aren't in the know, so to say. My big issue with this is, again, the people that they're taking advantage of are typically those who have struggled with weight loss in the past, those that have done a lot of fad diets, can't really exercise. No matter what they do, they can't lose weight. So what do? They turn to supplementation. And again, my big issue with this, and I think I've said big issue 3 times already in this first overall supplement scam I've been talking about, is the fact that weight loss really isn't that hard when you boil it down to the basics. Now, trust me, this is a very high level overview, but it does come down to calories in versus calories out. And I do understand it's a lot more complex than that. But again, for general time purposes, we're just going to boil it down to calories in versus calories out, meaning you must be in a caloric deficit or be eating or consuming less calories than your body needs to maintain its current weight in order to overall lose weight. The problem with this and fat burners is that if you're not in a caloric deficit and you supplement in fat burners, you're still not going to lose weight. It's not going to do anything. Not to mention, most of these fat burners advertise the fact that they're going to help you lose weight, they're going to burn more calories, they're going to give you more energy. And when you actually look at the ingredients, the stuff that they have in them have been shown to show very insignificant amounts of caloric expenditure. Meaning that yes, some of the ingredients in there might help you burn more calories, but how many? Maybe 5, maybe 10. Nothing of real significance. What most people find who really vouch and swear by these fat burners are that they give them tons of energy, which can be true because, again, looking at the ingredient profile on them, you'll find they're loaded with stimulants. Not to mention, most people who use fat burners, and I kind of hate to stereotype it this way, also don't really know about dieting in the fact that you want a slight deficit. Going into too big of a deficit can actually be detrimental. And doing so, one of the downsides of that is you'll find that you don't really have a lot of energy. So if you're already less energized as is, and then load up on tons of stimulants, yes, these pills will seem like they're the wonder pill. They're going to give you a ton of energy. So for me, fat burners is definitely on this list because dieting is really a lot more simple than adding in supplements. All right, so number 2 on my list is going to be testosterone boosters. And I've done a couple of videos on this in the past, and I always get people that still comment to this day along the lines of, you don't know what you're talking about, they work for me, I've seen all kind of gains, blah, 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 blah. I heard it all. But let me be the first to agree with you. They do work in the sense that they do boost your testosterone. So you might be scratching your head and saying, well, what the hell are you talking about then? Well, the problem is the fact that they don't boost your testosterone enough to really get any anabolic results off of them. So for this, it'll raise it a small amount, but again, it's not of any significance. The most you'll probably see out of it is some libido gains, meaning it'll help you get a boner, but it won't help you gain any of that extra muscle unless we're talking about the love muscle. So for this, again, it's really important to take a look at some of the ingredients that are contained in these products. There's plenty of research available to show you if they actually do what they say they will, and in all cases you'll find that, unfortunately, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. The interesting thing with a lot of these pills are people that swear by them, they've never actually had any of their blood work done to see the before and after. A lot of this is a mental placebo effect. Again, because when you take a look at testosterone boosting pills and all the promises that they make for you, combine that with the fact that many of them cost anywhere from $50 to $100 and even up in some cases, these people typically really put the grind to it, meaning they're going to really get their diets in check, they're going to train as hard as they can, and they're really going to reap the benefits if they're spending this much money on a supplement. And what happens? They see results, but not because of the pills that they're taking, but more because they're getting their diet right, they're training really hard, and they're making sure everything else lines up correctly. But they then do the bad thing and attribute these gains to the pills they're taking, when in reality, it's the hard work that they're putting in. So number 2 on my list are test boosters. All right, so that brings us to number 3 on our list of supplement scams, and this one is a bit of a doozy, only because if I were to do a video on the top 3 supplements out there that are most beneficial and effective, it would also fall on that list as well. So I'm sure you're scratching your head a little bit, but what I'm talking about is, you can probably guess it already, but creatine. And I've done plenty of videos on this, all of which get lots of views, lots of comments. Creatine is by far one of the most effective supplements out there that you can spend your money on. So why is it on my list of supplement scams? Well, the reason being is there's so many different kinds of creatine out there these days that are just fancy marketing schemes. Ones that are ultra concentrated, ones that require no loading, ones that don't make you bloated. A bunch of fancy marketing terms and fancy packaging to get you to spend more money on this product. Now, when it comes down to it, you can look at the research, you can look at the studies, you can look at the results, you can hear it from the horse's mouth if you want. But creatine monohydrate, and I'm talking good, pure quality creatine like Creapure, something along that lines, has been shown to not only be the most effective, but also probably one of the least expensive supplements out there. So what happens is these companies need to find a way to make more money off of this, because there's not a lot of money to be made on creatine. It's cheap, and in order to make more money on it, they have to mark it up extremely high. In order to justify that higher cost, they have to think of ways to get you to buy it. So that's where you get all these different forms of creatine these days. You might have seen stuff in liquid droppers, for faster absorption. You might have seen pills, you might have seen concentrated scoops, flavored scoops, blends, all this stuff. Just fancy ways to get you to spend your money. So although it's a great, effective supplement, depending on which kind you go with, you might be getting scammed. In fact, some of the better brands out there of creatine monohydrate, you can get a 6-month supply for something around $20 or so. So any of these other things, fortunately, you're just getting taken advantage of. So that wraps it up. That's my top 3 list. Again, I'd be really interested to hear what you guys think of this. Is there something I left out? Is there something you would change? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay big.